All right, everyone. Thank you for attending. I'll get this meeting on the road. It's the March 31st meeting of the Incarceration Prevention and Reduction Task Force, Law and Justice Council. And let's begin with our land acknowledgement. Before we begin, we acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional and unceded territory of the Lummi, Nooksack, Samish, and Semiahmoo people who have cared for and tended this land since time immemorial. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We pay respect to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us here together today. And please join us in uncovering truths at any and all public events. All right, I am Peter Fraser. I'm co-chair of the IPRTF, and I don't believe that Heather Flaherty, my co-chair, will be able to join us today. She might be listening in. Let us begin by welcoming our new IPRTF members, Alexis Haas and Blaine Police Chief Roger Funk. Let's have them introduce themselves, and then let's all reintroduce and introduce ourselves, and perhaps mention something about why you are motivated to be part of the IPRTF, something you like about it or something that motivates you. And let's begin. Alexis, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Peter. Good morning, all. I hope your Monday's treating you well. My name is Alexis Haas, and I'm one of the new members here. Currently in the community, I also serve a role as the program director for Lifeline Connections Men's Low Intensity Residential Unit. Prior to that, I've had various experience in outpatient settings for addiction recovery services. Very grateful to be here. The passion I have for it stems from my time in the workforce, as well as other areas of personal ventures. So very passionate about this work and grateful to be amongst such wonderful people. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Alexis. And Roger, would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name's Roger Funk. I'm the chief of police for Blaine Police Department. I've been up there for about a year now. Previously to that, I spent 28 years at the Whatcom County Sheriff's Office. So I see some familiar faces, and I know a lot of the players. So I'm hoping to be able to contribute from my experience in both places.
Fantastic. Jill, would you change the view so we're not looking at the agenda right now? I'd like for all of us to be able to see everyone, if possible. Fantastic. That's great. Well, I'll begin. I'm Peter Fraser. I'm co-chair of the Incarceration Prevention Reduction Task Force. At base, I am doing this because when I was developing the Hotel Leo so long ago, I was shocked and amazed at the difficulties within the behavioral health and criminal justice system, and wanted to attempt to do something about it, and it led me here today. Bertie, I see you. Would you like to go next?
I'm Bertie Safford. I'm a retired family physician who's practiced for many, many years in Ferndale, Washington. And I am passionate about this because I watch so many of my patients, particularly young, late teens and early 20s men, get tangled up with the justice system for relatively minor events and have difficulty extracting themselves and watch its impact on its life. So I am passionate about having better alternatives for behavioral health and substance abuse and all the many other issues that impact our next generation.
Very good. Thank you so much, Bertie. Jay Hart is sitting in for Chief Rebecca Mertzig. And Jay, if you could introduce yourself and perhaps say a few words.
Sure. Jay Hart, Deputy Chief, Bellingham PD. I'm a newly promoted deputy chief. Been here for about 5 months already, but I've spent my entire career here at the Bellingham Police Department. So I've been here over 25 years. I absolutely love Bellingham. I love this community. It's done so much for me and my family, and I'm happy to serve in any way that we can. Yeah, so that's why I'm here.
Thank you, Jay. Raylene, you're next on my little Brady Bunch view. Would you go ahead?
Thank you, Peter. My name is Raylene King. I'm the Whatcom County Superior Court Clerk. And before that, I was the administrator for the Blaine Municipal Court. So I started on this task force somewhere around 2016, representing the small cities, and then changed roles here about a little over a year ago as a Superior Court, and want to assist in streamlining and making the process more efficient, as well as an attempt to reduce recidivism. Thank you.
Thank you, Raylene. Scott, how about you? Scott Cortice, why don't you go next?
Scott Courthouse, Mayor, City of Linden. I represent the small cities on this group, and I guess I'm more here to learn. This is all new to me, how this all works, and I've been on this group for quite a few years now, but it's been very educational for me to see what the work is here and how we're doing it, and I'm looking forward to the new justice facility as we plan for the future.
Thank you, Scott. Rosa, would you go next, please?
Hi, I'm Rosa Hunter. So I'm a felon. So I've been in the system. I'm now a scientist, so renowned in the field of research I'm in. Worked with NOAA, been to the Department of Interior, offered me a job in DC, but I place base. I need the trees and the mountains. So I guess I come from a different perspective. So just here to help in any way I can. Thank you.
We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, Rosa, for taking the time. Judge Evan Jones, you're up.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Judge Jones. I'm one of the now 5 elected judges for Whatcom County Superior Court. I've been on the task force for about a year now. I'm always happy to be here and participate. One of the things that's important to me is transparency in the courts. I think about that quite a bit, about how the entire court system's better when we have eyes on it and discussions from those that are knowledgeable, and also those that have been themselves involved. So when we have those eyes and those discussions, the whole system for the community is better. So that's why I participate happily.
Thank you, Judge Jones. Your participation is very much appreciated. Jake Wybush.
Hi there. Yeah, I've been the administrator here with District Court for about 7 or 8 months, and over probation as well, formerly the manager of probation department, and always looking for ways to improve, kind of have an open lens, and being a part of community and community that's full of great people, and such wisdom there is always encouraging. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for what you're doing for our community. Eric Peterson.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Eric Peterson. I am the field administrator for Section 6 with the Department of Corrections. Section 6 covers Snohomish County North and then out to Clallam and Jefferson County. So I oversee all the field offices that house community corrections officers, probation, parole offices. Although I'm based out of Snohomish County, my career with the Department of Corrections has been in Whatcom County. I've been with the Department of Corrections for 28 years, 20 years on the kind of as a parole officer, probation officer, and then the last 8 as a supervisor. I'm on this because I believe that we need to reduce recidivism. We need to increase our resources in the community and for behavioral health as well. So balancing those out while at the same time understanding that some people need to be incarcerated. So, thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. Arlene, you're next. You're muted, Arlene. I can't hear you yet. There we go.
Yeah. Well, I've been in practice as a therapist for many, many years. So that is what my background is. I've been on the task force for 5 to 6 years. And I was co-leader in the Law and Justice Committee before. What do I want to see? I want to see a 23-hour crisis clinic and a beautiful jail to replace the one that we've had, and enlightened methods for handling prisoners. So far, so good, but I'll believe it when I see it. Knowing the vagaries of politics.
Well, thank you so much, Arlene. I share your vision and your mission, and I think we're all here to make sure that we get the best jail and 23-hour facility that we possibly can, and appreciate everybody's work towards that end. Holly, go ahead.
Great. Hi, I'm Holly O'Neill with Crossroads Consulting. I've been working on the Justice Project since we did the jail tours. Oh my gosh, that's over a decade ago. So my colleague Marty Solomon and I do all sorts of public engagement and facilitation and planning for community health projects. And I live out here between Deming and Acme in East County.
Great, some county representation. Very much appreciate that. Not everybody is from Bellingham. Speaking of Bellingham, there's Bellingham City Council person Daniel Hamill. Would you like to go next?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Dan Hamill, Bellingham City Council, Ward 3 representative. I'm also the co-chair of the Behavioral Health Committee for the task force. I've been on the task force since the inception. I'm a permanent member, put on by the Whatcom County Council. I'm a co-founder of the Grace Lead and ART programs, and I'm here because we have to do this work, and we all need to be at the table to get this work done. So that's why I'm here. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. Well, there's Mayor Kim Lund. Would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Good morning, everyone. Mayor Kim Lund, City of Bellingham, happy to be here with you all this morning. I'm here because we all have a vested interest in our community, a community that's healthy and safe, and we're iterating and transforming what justice in Whatcom County looks like. So, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your work. Marty, why don't you go ahead? And then anyone who is not on camera, I'm not going to be able to see. So if you wouldn't mind turning on your camera so you could participate, that would be fantastic. All right, Marty.
Hi, I'm Marty Solomon, and I work with Holly O'Neill, Crossroads Consulting, and a couple of the main things we're doing right now are working with you all, IPRTF, and the Justice Project Oversight and Planning Committee, facilitating that committee's work and just trying to help monitor the progress on the implementation plan. And all of that is feeling really rich and interesting to me. Really glad to be working with you all.
Thank you. I have to say that as co-chair with Heather, we sure appreciate the work of Holly and Marty. They're just doing such a great job to help organize and move things forward. So much appreciated. And Thank you to Whatcom County government for making their contract possible. Speaking of Whatcom County government, I see Barry Buchanan here from the council.
Morning, everybody. I'm Barry Buchanan, Whatcom County Council member at large, and I also chair the steering committee, which is the committee made up of all the co-chairs of all the subcommittees that plans these kind of agendas and looks at the vision of the task force in general. I've been on the task force for about a decade. I was the initiator of the Justice Project about 7 years ago, if you can believe that. 2018 is when we kicked off the listening tour. And we've been just keeping our heads down and working hard for the last 7 years to really come up with a system that's much more robust, that's much more inclusive of mental health and substance use disorder. So I think this group really has done a wonderful job over the time I've been here of identifying new programs, just really thinking out of the box. And I think I really enjoy our work going forward. So welcome to our new members.
Thank you, Barry. And thank you so much for your leadership over all these years. It's really been exceedingly important. And it's going to be something that once you're retired and fully and off the council, you'll be able to look back on with pride, I'm sure. And we're all here to make good outcomes. So thank you.
Oh, that'll be a while.
I'm not rushing you. By God, you stay around doing your work as long as possible. Let's see, a few people off camera. I see Melora. Melora, are you able to say a few words?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Sorry, I am in transit. Laura Christensen, Whatcom County Health and Community Services. I am the response systems manager. So we operate some of our direct service diversion programs here in Whatcom County. Grace lead the alternative response team, street medicine, and mental health court. And it's an honor to be on the task force. I think right now more than ever in a time of uncertainty and a lot of things happening at the local, state, and federal level. I think more than ever, our community needs to come together with our values, our commitment, and really a action-oriented how to real life. How are we going to build a system that's going to work for our community? So I'm just grateful to be here and grateful for all the people on this call.
Thank you so much, Melora. Boy, you sure do a lot of heavy lifting in this community, in particular around behavioral health, and we sure appreciate it. I'm not sure what we'd do without you. Okay, Heather, are you able to say a few words? Okay, well, pop in if you possibly can, and I'm looking for anybody else who hasn't spoken up yet. I think we're there. Okay.
Tammy, I saw.
What was that?
Tammy
Did we
Bennett.
miss? Oh, Tammy. Tammy. Hey, hi, Tammy. Oh, you're muted, it sounds like, or we can't hear you.
How's that? I've been having problems.
Hey, there you are. Yep.
I'm the court director at Bellingham Municipal Court. I've been in the court system for about 20 years now, in my current position since July. And over the time that I've been here, it's been amazing watching how the community has changed their views on how we look at the offenders that we serve and changing them from offenders to participants and looking at the root causes. And I do believe this committee and quite a few of the other ones are a main cause for that shift. And I appreciate being a part of it.
Well, thank you so much, Tammy. We unfortunately do not get a chance to all see each other in one big room. I'm not sure what that room would even be. The conference room I'm sitting in would only hold half of us. So I'm glad that we were able to take a few moments in introducing our new members to all say hello and say a few words. So before we move on, I just want to reiterate how much I appreciate the work that you're all doing, the time that you're taking in your work on this committee, any subcommittees you might be on, and your work in the community. So thanks so much. We have a lot to do. Okay, the next thing that's up is it's formation of behavioral health care development work group, which has been on the agenda, on and off the agenda for some time. It's been in your packet, I think, 3 times. So I'm hoping that you have read it. Basically, what we're trying to do here today. Oh, and let me just pop in here and ask Jill. Jill, do we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum. Thank you.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay, I'm so delighted. This has come up before, and we did not have a quorum. So I'll just say a few words about this, but I'm thinking that you've probably all read it. When a number of us went in the year 2023 to Nashville, Tennessee, to see a model called the Behavioral Care Center model. It's a co-located treatment center for mental health and drug treatment, co-located with the new Nashville or Davidson County Jail. We were all struck with that this was a model that we wanted to bring back to Whatcom County. It has, in the lead up to the jail levy vote, it was something that we made part of the plan for voters. I think everybody is expecting a really good rollout of a behavioral care center like facility and program. There is work to do now in the community for us to figure out how to use this Nashville model, adapt it for Whatcom County. I have spoken to a number of you on this call, and Eric Ritchie does not appear to be on this call, but he is a key component, as this is a prosecutorial diversion model. He and a number of others are very interested in forming a work group as part of the IPRTF to begin moving forward a plan to do research and move forward a plan with the health department, with the courts, or with the prosecutor's office, with the public defender's office, all the players that make a behavioral care center model work. So I would be proud to have the IPRTF be a container for those discussions. And so my motion today, and somebody can make this motion, I will read it, and hopefully we can get a first and a second, and then any discussion, and then have a vote. So the motion for approval would be to approve the creation of an IPRTF Behavioral Care Center work group to conduct detailed research, engage local stakeholders, and make recommendations aligning with best practices in mental health care and criminal justice reform.
So moved.
I so move.
I hear first from Bertie, and was that a second, Dan?
Sure.
Okay, great. Is there any discussion about this motion?
Got a question.
Yes, please, Dan.
Is there I mean, beyond what's in the packet, is there any more scoping of this group, or is that pretty much it?
Well, let's see. The only thing I haven't really mentioned in much detail here is well, I guess I did go through who would be on this committee, and we'll decide on those members next. But Eric Ritchie has shown interest. Judge Jones has shown interest from the courts. I have talked with Maya from the Public Defender's Office and Hannah Fisk from Health would be on this as well. Now we have a packet of information that has been gathered about the model. In fact, on Friday or Thursday, I was sent a 5-year update on the success and the data around the BCC in Nashville. So we have some data around that to look at. And Eric Ritchie is his civil department apparently is looking through the this packet of information that we have to make some determinations. So that's what I have for you. Dan, do you have follow-up?
Yeah, Raylene has her hand up. I'd let her go and I'll follow up after.
Okay. Raylene, go ahead.
Thank you. Based on the data that you guys received, and I might have missed this, but I saw that there was a 7% recidivism rate, which is excellent. My question is, it seemed to be focusing more on misdemeanor charges from what I read. So do we have how many participants were in that program in Nashville?
I don't have that in front of me. I could actually bring it up and I might be able to have those figures for you towards the end of the meeting. Like I said, I just got a 5-year update. And I noticed that since the time we were there, they are doing far more felony cases than they were before. And so something must have changed. So it's both misdemeanors and felonies. And we can circulate that 5-year report to everybody on this committee.
Thank you.
Dan?
Yeah, I think, beyond Raylene's questions, I think there's some intersections here that need to be brought forward to this new work group. Those intersections are how the city of Bellingham will be funding behavioral health care operational dollars moving into the future. What the intersection is between the behavioral health committee and the task force and this group. I think that there's some overlap there. And also there's a subcommittee on behavioral health that's working on Division Street that has some intersectionality as well, or will with the behavioral health care or behavioral care center. And so I'd like to make sure that we're just all on the same page because we've got a lot of moving parts here. As we go forward, we need to just be very coordinated in our efforts.
We do. Yeah, thank you for that. I think that this work group is really the beginning of our doing that coordination and that research and that hard look at what is going to be the best model for Whatcom County. Barry, go ahead.
Just to add kind of to what Dan said, as far as how kind of far-reaching this whole concept is, we're also looking at the prosecutorial model that's done in King County called Link. I was going to report on that a little bit about it. That's why we had to cancel our last IPTRF meeting, is there were so many of us going on that tour. But it's another diversion program that has got some intersectionality as well. Whether it utilizes the BCC or not is kind of unknown, but there's also going to be, Eric is talking about a work group to talk about that program as well. So that could fold into this work group as well. I could certainly see that happening.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for bringing that up, Barry, because, and I did talk to Prosecutor Ritchie about that very subject. We wanted to get this kicked off, and perhaps the link discussions are part of that. Perhaps they're separate, but as Dan points out, there's a lot of intersectionality here, and this is the container within the IPRTF and the county to begin having those discussions. So thank you. Anything else? All right, let's see if you could raise your hand or indicate yes for a vote to approve. Right, Jill, are you good?
Yes, thank you. We need a vote of anyone opposed.
Okay, let's have anybody opposed. All right, any abstentions? All right, the motion passes. Thank you so much. I'm pleased to see this move forward, and we'll make arrangements to convene this work group and provide opportunities for updates. All right, so let's move on to the next item. Okay, Jay Hart is here to report around the SCORE facility use. And originally we were going to have a full discussion around the reduction of booking restrictions. And I thought that this SCORE conversation would be a great pairing for that. But unfortunately, everyone from the sheriff's department is very busy with jail planning today. So we're not having that discussion. But Jay, why don't you go ahead, and perhaps there are some overlap with the reduction of booking restrictions that you might speak to. So Jay, please go ahead.
You bet. So I'll kind of give you a little historical view on how we became involved in SCORE, and then how we're using SCORE, and it's changed how we're using SCORE now then as well. And then obviously we can open for any questions that anybody has. But I guess to begin, we'll take you back to the beginning of COVID, and that caused some significant operational challenges for our jail. And Roger, Chief Funk, you could probably speak to this, but I know that capacity was was very problematic for the jail at that period in time. So they enacted some pretty strict booking restrictions back then, where they were really only taking, violent felonies where the suspect still posed a significant risk or threat to public safety. And then there were some gross misdemeanor type crimes that they would be booking as well. Anything domestic violence related, obviously, they would take. And then DUIs, stalkings, harassment, those kinds of things. But that left out a lot of other crimes that are, you could consider, like malicious mischief, say, or trespassing, those sorts of things that aren't necessarily violent by nature, but they're a problem for our community. And so what we were finding is that, our officers were going to these crimes, and what they would typically do is give them a citation, and which is a piece of paper with a court date on it, and we would end it there. Well, some people would continue to commit these crimes, and it was frustrating to see, because there wasn't a way to stop that. No matter what avenue our officers chose to go down, ultimately the person that we were contacting, would choose to continue to commit these crimes. And so they looked out at a whole bunch of different options, but one was SCORE, which is a facility down just south of SeaTac. And so we entered into a contract with them, where they would take misdemeanors and gross misdemeanors. Obviously that's, it's a 2.5-hour drive. It's a long way away. And so we didn't know how often we would need to be using them. And as it turns out, since last February, our average has been about 3 to 4 uses per month. So over the last year and a month or so, it's been about 3 or 4 uses per month. But typically what we had done when we first entered into this agreement with SCORE is that it was those people that continued to commit those crimes, and no matter how many times we contacted them, it just did not seem to matter. We obviously don't want to stack charges on people. That's not the intent. We would appreciate it if nobody committed crimes, right? And especially if people are committing crimes and we show up, we want that to stop. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. And so we used SCORE, and up until just, I guess it was January 31st, February 1st of 2025, the jail actually released their booking restrictions. And since that time, so all of February and all of March, we've only booked one person in SCORE. And so we went from 3 to 4 a month on average to, I guess one person every 2 months, just because the jail up here released the restrictions. you know, like I mentioned, SCORE is 2.5 hours away. It's a 5-hour turnaround time for officers. Every time we had to do that, we had to send 2 officers down for safety purposes. There's obviously increased expense there. SCORE itself is more expensive to book people in. So we would certainly prefer to book people into our own jail up here. Yeah, on top of that, if there were any mental health or behavioral health problems with the arrestee, they would charge us even more. And so, you know, the preferred method was to book into Whatcom County Jail, and it's been open. The release of the booking restrictions has worked, and so that's where we're sending most of the people that we arrest and have to book. What else can I tell you? You know, one trend that we're seeing, it's been really recent since they've opened up, but one trend that we're seeing now is SCORE is actually calling us when they, like, say another law enforcement agency down south books somebody in on that law enforcement agency's charges. Prior to being released off that agency's charges, they'll run their names through NCIC or WASC, and if they have a Bellingham warrant or a warrant out of the Bellingham Police Department, they will call us and ask us if we want to confirm that or not. That's happened on multiple occasions now. And so we have been confirming those warrants. Speaking with one of our municipal court prosecutors, that is they appreciate that because they're able then to address or resolve some of these outstanding cases where they've been on warrant for a period of time. And it allows them to just resolve those cases. And so, but that's also been sort of an increased cost for us as well, because the minute that we confirm those warrants for them, now, you know, we're getting charged certainly the daily rate for however long that person is incarcerated down there. So that's SCORE. It's like I said, it's since the Whatcom County jails opened up, there's been, I mean, we really haven't taken many people down at all. So.
Very good. Thank you so much for that report. What questions do we have for Jay? I've got a question.
Sure.
So looking back a couple of years, I know that we were scrambling to find other jails that might take our inmates. For some time, I believe we used Yakima, which was a long ways away. I know that Skagit County had capacity, but they didn't have staffing. I know that Snohomish, there was an attempt for us to use Snohomish, but there was political pushback. I know that we currently have a relaxation of booking restrictions, but still I'm curious if there are ever ongoing conversations with these other facilities.
I have not been a part of that. I'm not aware of any. I think SCORE kind of really resolved some of those problems that we had, and right now things are going well with the jail. So I'm not aware of any conversations that we've had looking for other options right now at this time.
Okay, very good. Bertie Safford.
My question is SCORE like another jail facility, so it's not a lot different than using, say, Skagit or Yakima, or does it have specific treatment programs or other advantages in addition to being custodial?
Good question. Yeah, it's a private, as far as I understand, it's a private correctional facility. They do have, because they charge us for this, but if there's if somebody needs to be held in a mental health residential bed, we get charged an additional $170 a day. They have medical acute beds and other mental health acute beds that are even more expensive for almost $300 a day. So I don't know the services that they provide. Obviously, there are healthcare services there. You know, but yeah, it looks like they just based on the needs of the individual. Obviously, that just increases the amount that they charge us, whatever services they need to provide them.
Now, I'm no expert, but I don't believe that it is private. I believe that it is owned by the cities of southern King County. I may be wrong about that, but I believe that's the case.
Gotcha. Thank you. I'm looking over their contract right now to see if I can find that.
Sure. Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to provide some historical context here real quick. So Yakima was the facility that we used for quite some time. And I think I'm the only city council member to actually drive over there, and it takes forever to get there. And they have a huge jail facility. I think it's like 900 beds. So they were able to contract with 27 west side cities and municipalities west of the mountains, and then that contract just ended. They were no longer able to take people who were severely mentally or had severe mental illness or substance use disorders that were very acute in nature, and the expenses of getting someone over to, say, like Harborview over in Seattle for a medical condition were very expensive. Fixed wing and helicopters. Fixed wing was 15,000. Helicopters, I think, were 30,000, and then we got charged that cost. So that contract ended a few years ago. I think we're all kind of searching for, what do we do in the interim between now and when our facility is built. And there's some good news, and I appreciate DC Hart's update here that there is some glimmer of hope on the horizon here. And I think the other part of it is that we're not talking about that we should is the competency restoration and True Blood decision that actually will provide some housing for folks, for the people that are in that category. But we do need to get things figured out when it comes to a Western State hospital. And so I think that work continues. And I know Barry, Councilmember Buchanan's been a leader on that, as well as others on this call. So I think that it's a full context kind of situation that we really need to be addressing. So thanks.
Thanks, Dan. Raylene, please go ahead.
Thank you. Just to piggyback off some of the stuff that Dan had said, I know Yakima was considerably cheaper for the municipalities when we did have contracts there, but there was some changes going to friendship diversion services for some of the municipalities, which meant they were using an alternative for home detention rather than having to transport for sentencing. So then Yakima was getting some more mentally unstable individuals. That also kind of caused some problems with public defenders being able to meet with their clients when it was on pretrial status instead of post-sentencing. So I think Bellingham had a contract with public defenders in Yakima, but some of the municipalities didn't have that. So there was a challenge with them to meet with their clients. And I'm sure that's also probably a challenge when you're dealing with anything that's out of the county. If you have representation and it's a pretrial matter, then they need to be able to meet with their clients somehow. And if anybody's mentally unstable, we use Zoom a lot. Superior Court municipalities, it's great technology. It really helped out with COVID, and we've continued that, but it is sometimes a struggle for defendants that already have some mental health issues and they're not seeing somebody in person. They are now hearing voices. Not only are they sure if that's what's real or what's not when they're having to do Zoom for a court hearing. So not having that person there is a struggle. However, I know cost is always an issue in government, and I'm sure with restrictions, I can just imagine that some municipalities are going to see a budget crunch as they're able to book people, and maybe that wasn't expected from before. So there's a lot of different components as we're discussing different options with the jail. And I don't know if Roger Funk has any information on that. But he might be able to speak to seeing some increases in jail billing.
Thank you, Raylene. Roger, would you like an
Yeah.
opportunity to speak to that?
Yeah, my apologies. I was having trouble unmuting my microphone there. I think I'm a little bit delayed in getting the billing. We've seen the lifts in the restrictions, and so we are getting more and more people booked. I have not really seen the bills come in yet, but I know they're coming, and I'm monitoring how many people are being booked, so I know it's going to increase. You know, it's kind of the irony of having the restrictions. Is frustrating for the community and not being able to get people in, but it's certainly been helpful to the budget and budgeting. I guess the question I have with these jail restrictions being lifted is I don't understand how it's happened. We haven't added more bed space and we haven't added more personnel. So we may not see as much of an impacted billing as I thought, because I'm wondering how fast people are being released. But we don't book enough people in Blaine for me to get a real accurate reflection of that. You know, Bellingham probably would be the best meter of that, just because of the population volume that they have.
Well, Roger, I'm with you. I am so curious to find out from Sheriff Tanksley and Caleb Erickson as well, how they're doing it, and also have a full discussion with the other people on this call around around this change and how it's affecting everyone. So we've been trying to schedule that for some time. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait until next month. So
It has been really nice. We do have a few people in our community that are quite emboldened by the knowledge of the jail restrictions and know that they're just going to get another piece of paper with another court date that they're going to ignore. So knowing that we have that ability when necessary to book them, I think has straightened out some behaviors with a few people. So
good. Okay. Any other questions on this topic before we go on to the next one?
Peter, I found it. I just want to make it clear that you're absolutely right. It was scores formed by owner cities as a governmental administrative agency to operate and maintain consolidated correctional facility owned by or located in the city of Des Moines to serve the owner cities. So absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, and my understanding is that the Skagit County Jail was based on a score design model, not a big favorite of our Caleb Erickson and the others who are paying such close attention to jail design. So while it's a good, safe, well, I can't speak to its safety. It's a good facility with space. It is not the jail design of our choosing, and we are going a whole new direction. So. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. And Marty, are you going to share your screen? Okay, great. What we're wanting to go through is just to review the IPRTF calendar and priorities. Marty, do you want to kind of take it away, and I'll step in as necessary?
Sure. I actually updated this calendar since the one that went into your meeting packet. So this has a date of March 28th because got just a little bit of extra information that helped pin down a few things and just tidied the calendar up a bit once we knew that we were not going to be talking about booking restrictions in this meeting. Among other changes. So at the top part here, I just want to point out for the new members that that the IPRTF chose 3 main topics for priority focus for this year. And they are the jail and BCC, development of a performance measurement plan and data dashboard for the implementation plan projects, and strengthening and evaluating diversion programs. And so when any, that does not mean that all of the other goals of the implementation plan aren't also a focus. It just means that trying to put special focus on these 3 topics. And so any discussions in meetings that are related to these topics, I marked with a star. So
Great.
that's what that's about. Another thing in reading this calendar is that put tried to categorize what kind of topic each thing was. So is it a question? Is it a proposal? Or is it a report? And questions are where we're just trying to gather group feedback. Proposals are where there's going to be a vote, most likely, or a proposal will be presented that will then be voted on in the next meeting. And reporting is where somebody's coming and providing information like Jay Hart did today.
Thank you. And Bertie, you have a question?
I'm just wondering, Marty, if you can make it bigger. At least on my screen, it's pretty small and difficult to read, and I didn't know if that's my computer issue or if you can enlarge to show.
I think that it might be on yours because you're sharing or because you probably have people on part of your screen. Try to move the double line that goes between the people just over a little bit, and that might help. Okay. So
Great.
I'm going to skip January, February.
And it's also in everybody's packet in case you need to open it up. And one thing I just wanted to pop in here and say is I just want to remind you that we've been through a year-long process of all working together to decide which 10 of all of the things that we could work on, which 10 goals we wanted to address. And then we went through a process of focusing on what are our top three, and then going through a process of divvying up those 10 and seeing which committees would want to focus on which of those 10 topics. And then we went through a process that's going on now where committees are talking amongst themselves to decide what it is that they want to focus on. And while we do have these top three focus subjects, focus goals, committees are free to choose what it is that they want to work on. And we'll be getting to some of that in our later in this meeting. So thanks, Marty. Go ahead.
All right. Well, here we are today, and we voted on the proposal to form the BCC work group, and we are talking about this draft calendar and welcoming your feedback. So that's the other thing I just want to say. If you see anything in this calendar or that you want to, you would like to have changed, or you would like something added, or you want things done a different way, this would be a great time to share your feedback. And Bertie, did you want to say something else, or?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So I just wanted to point out a couple of things on the remainder of the calendar. For next month, I moved the booking restriction discussion right down, and that'll be a report out from the sheriff's office. And we also wanted to talk about the Ann Deacon Center utilization and working on pulling that together. And then there, that April meeting will be where we will get to have some update reports from Kayla on the implementation plan. And this pops up quarterly, that the executive's office provides a report on progress on each of the implementation plan projects, as well as we're hoping a legislative update, because we'll be right near the end of the legislative session. And we're also hoping to meet STV, the owner's representative that was hired by the county to work on jail BCC design. And we expect that they will be present at the next meeting as well.
Marty, it looks like we've got a little too much for the April meeting. I know that Ann Deacon Center utilization conversation, the last time we had it, took up a full 90 minutes. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was a robust conversation along those lines. We may need to move that further down the calendar. Kim, go ahead.
For legislative updates, it might be helpful to expand. I know LEAD funding, the grant that supports LEAD, was vulnerable. We had to do an emergency letter. I joined with Eric Ritchie and Sheriff Tanksley to try and secure that in the state budget. But there could be other developments as the state budget is being finalized. So we might want to just keep this group apprised of how that conversation has unfolded.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll try and we're gonna have a lot
I
of
can't
stuff.
remember when our next steering meeting is, but we could address this at the steering committee meeting.
Yeah. Jill?
I would say that the Ann Deacon Center discussion for next month, the stakeholders there have all been invited and confirmed they're going to attend. And I have not confirmed with the sheriff that they can have their booking restrictions discussion next month. So I think the message today for the task force members and looking at this calendar is these are all goals and they may change depending on everyone's availability. So please stay tuned to the actual agendas when they come out because it might be slightly different from what we're showing here.
Absolutely. And I should have said at the top that this is a living document. It will be changing all the time, and we'll keep you posted on it.
Thank you.
I think the only other thing I wanted to mention is that we put special time in June for work group committee and work group updates. And we're hoping that that would be a time for each committee to talk more about the work they've been doing on implementation project related implementation plan projects and anything else that they want to say about what's coming out of their work group, the focus of their main goals and how they're moving those along. So we made that a focus for June and hope that works for all of the committee chairs.
And of course, we have penciled in, if you will, prosecutorial diversion legal considerations for June. And it would be my hope that our new BCC work group and the prosecutor's office will be ready to speak to some of these issues. All right. Anything else, Marty, that you want to point out in the calendar, or should we move on?
I think those were the highlights.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or any additions, questions for anybody? All right, excellent. Thank you very much for that, Marty. So let us take time, as much time as we need, because as I was reviewing let's see, last year as co-chair, I went to pretty much every single subcommittee meeting there was, and it was not sustainable, but I wanted to do it for a year. And as of January, I'm not going to them all, but I am reading the notes, and there's a lot going on in these committees. I'm very pleased with the level of discussion and thought that's going into these meetings. We have time to go into some detail and discussion around each of the committee reports today. So I would encourage the chairs to take the time to present today. And that will be pretty much the rest of the meeting, aside from other business and public comments. So Bertie, would you like to begin? Oh, and Marty, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask if Tasha Thompson might be moved over to a panelist since she's one of the committee co-chairs just for this section.
Oh, that would be great.
So she could speak up if she wants to add something about the J-POP committee. Thanks.
Jill, is that something you can do?
Yeah, it's
Barry? Oh, great. Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, Peter, I was wondering if I could do steering first, because that kind of leads into the rest of the committees. And plus
Oh, yeah,
I have to go in about 20 minutes. So,
absolutely. Let's do that. So,
okay, thanks.
Barry, why don't you go ahead? I see that you have February and March steering committee report to do.
Yeah, what February's uh steering committee meeting was really comprised of a lot of detailed committee reports, just like what we're going to get today. So I'm not going to go into all what was reported there because you're just going to hear it again. But I did want to highlight a couple things. One was I talked a little bit on our intro to our new members about thinking out of the box and how this group is created. Well, during our steering committee meeting, Executive Sadu talked about a program that used to be with Bellingham Technical College that allowed incarcerated individuals to take classes under supervision. So it was somewhat of a work, a preparation for work type of program that tech school did sometime back in the past. So I thought that was interesting, and I think everybody really had strong support for any kind of initiative that does job training and any kind of reentry support, because that's so important right now. So the other thing I wanted to mention was data. We talked about data, and Raylene mentioned that someone from the Whatcom Community College had reported out and done a presentation to their committee, and that they were going to potentially be on the May IPTRF meeting to talk about some of the things that they do in their criminal justice studies at Whatcom Community College. So the other thing we talked about that I thought was noteworthy was the Ann Deacon Center for Hope. Just wanted to touch on that again. We talked about how since the committee has been put on hiatus or dissolved, I think it's on hiatus, right, Peter?
That's right. Yep.
So we don't get reports out on the activities around that facility. So I'm glad to hear that we're doing a deep dive into that in the near future, because that's important to the council for sure. And then in March, one of the things that I reported on was the reason we missed the IPTRF meeting last time we had to cancel, and that was our trip to King County and the Link facility. And LINC stands for Legal Intervention and Network of Care. That's what LINC stands for. And it's a prosecutorial diversion program that's initiated by the prosecutor's office. So the referrals strictly come from the prosecutor's office. The thing that we really were impressed with is that there's a housing component to their program that's funded by partially anyway, by the True Blood money that Dan had mentioned earlier in our meeting today. And they had two levels of housing. One they called respite housing, and that was a large Seattle style single family home with multiple bedrooms. I think it had 9, but they had a community kind of setting for folks. They got their own room, but yet they got to share meals. They got to share a gardening space. And they really are excited about that model to be able to have, some privacy, but yet there's some social interaction within the folks that are there. And then the other housing was more transitional in nature, getting them on to permanent housing. Again, it was a small amount. It was, I think, a total of 16 beds between the two facilities. And I don't know, Melora, do you have anything you'd like to add about that? It was a very, very interesting visit.
Yeah, I would just add that the LINK program and their outpatient competency restoration program, almost all of that has been funded through True Blood. Phase 1 through we're currently in phase 5. And so it was quite impressive. Obviously, things in King and Seattle are different than they are up here. But we got to meet with their prosecutorial team that is really committed only to diversion programs. And so that team of paralegals and attorneys screen every single case that comes through their office to see if they would be appropriate for any diversion program. So it's great to see the direct service provider and what they're doing, and then also to meet with the prosecutorial team and hear about their vision. It did remind me of the prosecutor's view and commitment to diversion that we saw in Nashville. And so that was exciting to see.
Yeah, a lot of interest in the group that went down. It was, like I said, Melora, myself, Caleb Erickson, both the Erics, Sigmar and Richie from the prosecutor's office. We had Hannah was there, right?
Hannah Fisk, Stark Follis,
Stark Follis and Maya. So we were well represented down there, and it was a very interesting visit, like I said. Any questions on that little piece, Scott?
Yeah, I guess we always talk about housing, so I got a couple of questions. Who or how do you choose who goes into the housing? And then is there data on how housing affects recidivism?
They have their own internal process of how they decide who participates in the program. Like I said, it's initiated by the prosecutor's office, referrals to the program. The data, we asked about data, and they didn't have any available at the time, but they said they did have data that they would get to us. I don't know, Melora, have we seen anything yet?
No, but they will be publishing something in the next couple of months, so we would have that. And just to reiterate what Councilmember Buchanan was saying, all of the referrals come through the prosecutor's office. So corrections can flag someone and say, hey, this would be someone appropriate for this type of support. And then their outpatient competency restoration program, which is operated by the same provider that does the housing and the LINK program. It's all wrap around. They have mental health, substance use disorder staff on site. So it really was a whole care person oriented model.
Barry,
so they also had I guess a budget. True Blood's paying for it, but I guess it'd be interesting to know what their budget is per whatever.
Yeah, that was one of our first questions. Exactly, Scott.
Okay. So
and what is the state of our True Blood funding? Can anyone speak to that?
I'm happy to answer that unless there's someone here from the exec's office.
I didn't see anybody.
So I think most people know that we applied for a phase 5 True Blood grant, which would allow us to build housing units dedicated to former or current True Blood class members. We were working closely with Lake Whatcom Center on developing those units. Unfortunately, in the process of our application, Lake Whatcom did not receive a state commerce grant that they had hoped to get for that specific project. And so the court has delayed their decision on awarding the True Blood funds to us until Lake Whatcom Center is in a better financial place. And so we are well positioned to apply again, possibly as soon as late spring. So the court said we're going to pause, but we encourage you to apply again as soon as that becomes available.
Thank you for that update. Barry, are there other things you'd like to
address?
There
was one other thing I wanted to mention that came up in the March meeting, and that was the Supreme Court and the public defender caseloads issue. I was hoping Maya would be here today to give an update on that, because we know the court was supposed to make some sort of a decision in February, and they pushed it again. So I'm not sure what the status is, but I kind of wanted to bring that up today. I was hoping to get some, like I said, an update, but we'll get that, I'm sure, from Maya as soon as she hears anything. So that was all I had, Peter.
All right. Thank you so much for that robust report. Really appreciate it. Let's go on to the next one, unless there are any other questions. Okay. So Bertie, let's get back to you and the index committee.
Okay, so the index committee is due to meet next week. This week. It met 2 months ago, and we are beginning to spring into action around the upcoming plans initiated by Julia Garrett, our consultant, regarding the evaluation of the performance improvement plan. So she presented her upcoming work at our last meeting, and she is scheduled to present the latest in the proposed measurements that have been through JPOP and been revised and will be presented again. And in the meantime, our committee decided to update its inventory of what data fields are available. And so the responses were a little delayed trickling in, but they are coming in. And so I hope to be able to synthesize some of them and have a discussion about those at this coming committee. And we will certainly continue that work so that we have an idea of reality versus ideal for what we need. And the final thing was really stealing thunder from 2 other subcommittees, and that is there is a work group on data being formed by Legal and Justice and Behavioral Health Subcommittee jointly. And so I look forward to the Index Committee working closely with them to interface around these issues.
Good. Have you had discussions with those co-chairs around how to best coordinate?
I'm on it. So
No.
that is an instant coordination. And the meeting has not yet, with that new work group, has not yet had an opportunity to meet, but Dean White has agreed to convene it. And so I anticipate we'll be meeting soon.
That's great. That's great. Well, as we've so often mentioned, without data, good data to help us, it's hard to navigate all of these important programs and initiatives that we have in this county. So I really appreciate Index Committee and Behavioral Health and Legal and Justice taking time to really focus on moving this program forward. So thank you. All right. Any questions for Bertie? All right, seeing none, let's move on to Legal and Justice Systems Committee. Raylene?
Raylene had to leave early, but the meeting summary is in everyone's packet and on the website if you'd like to review that information.
Okay. Then let's move to Dan for the Behavioral Health Committee. And perhaps you could talk a little bit about the joint Behavioral Health and Legal and Justice Committee meeting that happened.
Sure, thanks. So I kind of want to fly at 30,000 feet on this to give everyone an overview on the things that we have been working on. We're trying to align with the goals of the broader task force, and really, just make sure that we're consistent and we're working on the goals. And so I'll just give you the highlights here. We have 3 different work groups that we've created. One is for diversion and reentry, and that is headed up by Brian Estes. That work group has probably a half dozen members. There's some crossover between legal and justice and behavioral health, and the focus areas would be on vocational programs, so getting people jobs, housing, treatment. We want to look at the interface between community court, the court that the city is setting up, and how that would work as a PDP or prosecutorial diversion program, and how we can divert people out of that court into this into a setting where they're going to get work and housing and treatment if they need it. We're also looking at the LEAD program. And then Brian and I talked over the weekend, and we think it's important to engage the public defender's office, since they they have a reentry specialist, and we don't want to duplicate the work that's being done. We want to accentuate, so to speak. We also want to work with the prosecutor's office, both at the county and the city level. And so that's that program, diversion reentry. And then we've got a Division Street work group, and I'm heading that one up. As you know, we've got the 23-hour behavioral health center that can be cited there, and there's still work to be done. There's still a funding gap that needs to be closed, and then there's operational dollars that needs to get figured out. We have DGWALH is the mobile medical units are up and running. I think they're in week 4 or 5 right now, and there needs to be some work done with getting transportation figured out in a more robust way, and some marketing to make sure that enough people know that there's this resource. But the tribe and the clinic has been very patient at this point, but we do need some work to be done there. And then there's the long-term planning of the repurposing of the work center. So what happens with that part of the building, which is a significant part of the building? So could it be like a treatment center? What are we thinking for the long term? And then we would have to make that recommendation and then coordinate with the county, with the health department to see what the long-term plan would be. And then the final subcommittee or work group, I guess, is data. And as has been amply said here today, it's really hard for us to move forward without having that robust data collection. And we're in the kind of the preliminary steps right now. Sheriff Tank sent out that spreadsheet that I think we all got, showing the crime types and the number of people that are in that system. And so Dean White and Bertie are part of that group, and I've got, there's probably 5 to 6 people on each different work group that are trying to advance these items forward. And we've taken that as our charge for the rest of the year to really work diligently and then report back to the Behavioral Health Committee to sort of, ground truth or fact check or just get feedback on the work that's being done. So I feel like we're in a really good space. We've expanded the Behavioral Health Committee to about, I think it's just slightly less than 30 people at this point. So it's a pretty big group and a lot of different levels of expertise. So that's what I've got to report today. And the meeting with the joint meeting went well with the legal and justice systems folks. And just so the new members here understand, why do we meet? Because we have so much like overlapping. And so we meet 4 times per year to make sure that we are not duplicating efforts, that we're coordinating efforts. And yeah, anyway, I think that we're continuing to move forward in a way that makes sense.
Dan, thank you so much. I really appreciate your leadership on that committee and not only expanding the group, but also forming these work groups and doing the process to really focus. I think we're really going to benefit there. So I do have a couple of specific questions. Maybe, I don't know if you can answer, maybe it's on Melora. But with the mobile clinics, I'm a little concerned about hearing that marketing and transportation is needed. Maybe it's just part of the plan. Maybe it takes a little while for people to learn about the clinics and getting there. But is there a gap there, or is it just a delay? Can anybody speak to that?
I can go first, Melora, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's a bus stop in front of the Ann Deacon Center. So the property is at 2030 Division Street. So if folks know where that's at, it's out in Iron Gate. Pardon me. The bus stop that's in front of Ann Deacon can drop people off to go to the mobile medical units. There are 3 routes that go to that bus stop for a total of, I think it's 13 stops per day per route. And they come from different parts of the community, from downtown, from Cordata, and I forget where the other one comes from, but it's fairly diverse in terms of where the origination of the ridership would be. And so that's good. It's a good start. But I think what we need to figure out, in my opinion, is like shuttling services from locations, perhaps like the Mission, or from some site in downtown Bellingham or out in Cordata, that would augment that transportation component. I do know, so that's that one piece, that's transportation. And I do know that Leon John, he's their outreach coordinator person for the clinic, has been up here going out to, to camps or to the Mission and other locations to try to make sure that people, they've got, some cards that they hand out and let people know that there's this resource. But I think it's like a startup issue is my perspective, that just it takes time for people to understand that there's this new resource in the community. So I don't know, Melora, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't have much to add, but just to say that new programs take a minute to for that to kind of get into the community narrative. Leon and Dr. Parent and others are doing a great job of going to meetings, doing ride-alongs. I agree. I think having a Digwall Leach transit bus somewhere downtown on some sort of regular schedule would be really helpful. And so we're talking with Digwall Leach right now about what that maybe could look like. And then I do think a strong marketing campaign out to other parts of the community, not just downtown Bellingham. I think their service specifically will benefit a lot of individuals that are maybe not our familiar faces in the downtown core. So I think, I mean, it's hard to be patient, and I know they did a lot of work to be there, but I am confident that we're going to figure this out. Yeah, nothing more to add.
Fantastic. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, great report, Dan. Thank you so much. And Tasha, are you able to give us a report on JPOP?
Yeah, well, we have been working the last 2 meetings diligently with Julia from Village Reach on getting our data dashboard up and running. Basically, the collection of data on the 15 points of the implementation plan, where we are, how effective they are, and basically we're really drilling down into the metrics we need to study to show that what we have been doing is effective and getting the results that we are seeking. So speaking to what Barry said earlier about Link, and that we would get the results, I would love to have those results, but I want to see behind the curtain on how they got those results so that we can kind of not reinvent the wheel if someone's getting good success. And same with the, I saw, Peter, that report that you sent from Nashville. And again, same thing, like what metrics were they exactly pulling from? And of course, we've had lots of discussions about collecting the data here in Whatcom County because of all the different reporting systems that all the different agencies use. And they don't necessarily talk to each other. So yeah, we're continuing to work on that. Really excited. Our April meeting on the 17th will be in person, our first in-person meeting since we formed the JPOP. And so yeah, that's the 17th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So looking forward to that.
Great. Thank you so much. Any questions for any of the chairs?
I just also wanted to add in something that to make sure you all know that we updated the Justice Project website. And this is just the temporary home for project update summaries of the quarterly reports that the executive's office produces. I'll just share my screen really quickly to show you what that looks like. So we have a section here. This is, if you just Google Whatcom County Justice Project, you'll come up with this quickly. And so the focus is about the Justice Project on this landing page. This has been updated. And then if you click here, Track Justice Project Implementation Plan, you can go to this page that says IPRTF Summaries of Justice Project Implementation Plan Progress Reports. And there they are. And so we're hoping to let people, everyone know that this is a place you can go for updated information about the work going on.
Thank you, Marty. And we do have plans to use social media as well to draw in regular folks who might not actually be Googling Whatcom County webpage such as this. So hoping to draw voters, taxpayers, and other interested parties into all the good work that's being done. All right, on to other business. Does anybody have anything to bring forward to the group? Yes, hi, Heather.
Good morning. Thank you for chairing this morning, Peter. Good morning, everybody. My name is Heather Flaherty, and I'm honored to be Peter's co-chair and assistant chair. And one thing I wanted to just ask you, in point of order, you can tell me if this should be a sidebar. I was able to listen halfway this morning. I had a medical appointment. And for the SCORE presentation, I'm wondering, Peter, if you or anybody here, what would be like, what's the key takeaway for the task force from that information? And is there anything actionable from it? And I guess the third part would be relating to our goals and the conversations in the future. Are there key things we should be remembering and thinking about that will connect to future conversations?
Does anyone have any follow-up thoughts? We can, Heather, we can certainly bring this up again, and when we are discussing the relaxation of I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the term, relaxation of the booking restrictions, we should probably circle back on SCORE, get another update, and kind of bring that into the conversation. Marty?
Yeah, I just want to take a moment, since we have it, to say that we were trying to track all of these and monitor all of the implementation plan projects, as that's part of this group's responsibility and the JPOP committee's responsibility, and Index is working on that. So we're all putting this effort into it. And if you have information that is in addition to, well, thank you for, first of all, thank you for what you contribute to those reports through Kayla. I know, and if there's additional information, please feel free to share it in writing to Kayla or to Peter, Heather, Holly, and I, because we are putting together these summaries. It's very helpful. Specifically, we have been missing information on court system improvements, and we have several people here who might be able to contribute to that item. It's Project 13 on the implementation plan. And we just have this kind of general statement that there's a county commitment to supporting improvements. But if you know of specific improvements that have been done to streamline people's progress through the courts, to reduce, the number of days people are spending in jail waiting for trial, anything like that, any changes that you've made, we'd love to hear about it so we can be getting that into these report summaries. And so let us know. Thank you so much. Jake?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go.
Oh, go ahead, Jake.
Sorry, Marty, thank you. Thank you for your patience. Been working with Judge Rans on some details and getting back to you. I apologize. He has been in trial
No
each
worries.
week, and we're getting there. So I'll be with you shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a couple things to say on that topic. Also, not just changes that are happening or improvements made, but if you notice barriers or gaps, I think it would be a great thing to do to bring those forward. I have heard, for instance, that there are, let's see, there's not full utilization of work release and work crew. And I was wondering why we're not fully using that. And I was going to speak to people in the courts about that. I talked to Caleb Erickson and got further information. It's more complex as always than I could possibly know. And so perhaps I should do a little bit more investigation and report on something like that. But when we see work release and work crew utilization not being as high as we might think, I'm always curious as to what sort of improvements could be made. So that's an example of something that should be brought forward. So thank you. And Heather, I just want to make sure that you feel like your comment or question was appropriately answered, or where you'd like to go with that.
We can have a sidebar. I just am always thinking about I'm grateful for the calendar and Marty and Holly, your work on helping us connect the dots between what are we talking about? Why is it important? What do we need to remember about it and how it connects to our priorities and the work we want to do together? Maybe that was all covered in the presentation. And so that's a tardy question to ask. And so I was just asking for clarity around that.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk further. All right, any other business? Okay, and with that, let's go to public comment. Jill, there's nobody else in the conference room today. How about online?
Yes, if any of you who are attending today would like to speak to the task force, please virtually raise your hand now. I do have one hand raised. Dean, go ahead and speak.
Yes, this is Dean White, and I'm the Special Projects Manager in the Health and Community Services Department. And one of my primary tasks right now is managing the contract with Village Reach. I know there is such a pent-up demand, need I say even hunger, for usable, actionable information around the justice system and its interaction with community services and the behavioral health system particularly. I just want to make a point of caution that the products from the Village Reach contract are to be a plan for performance measurement and evaluation. They're focused on developing what are the principal and important measures that this community feels will help them know whether their dollars are being spent well and that there are results and outcomes that benefit the health and safety of the community as it relates to these projects. So the notion that the result will be a dashboard is not the case. What will be produced, I think, is essentially a roadmap for how we need to get to a dashboard or a set of reports of various kinds and frequencies that help us know the things we want to know. And the reason is that once you define the important measures and you figure out which data elements are needed to compute those, then you have to compare that with what data are actually available. And that's the second deliverable of the Village Reach contract, is to identify current data systems and what data elements can be used to make those computations of measures. And I think there's probably a sense among a lot of people that we don't have all the data elements we're going to need. And so then the notion is, how do we get there, or find surrogates for data and so on. So I just wanted to make sure that kind of managing expectations around data. This is a very complex process, and it's going to take us staff resources and funds to move beyond a measurement plan to actually being able to gather and report the data into measures that we all want to know about.
Thank you,
Dean,
Dean.
thank you.
Is there anyone else in attending who would like to speak to the task force? Please virtually raise your hand now. No additional hands are raised.
Okay. Well, thank you all for your time today. We're ending early. You've got 24 extra minutes in your day, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you next month. We have a very full calendar or a full agenda. Thank you so much, and have a great day.